Look, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here on Seahawks Today. I'm your host, Will Ortner. I've been told that sometimes I just talk about bad news too often. I promise I am a glass half full type of a guy. But if the Seahawks are going to get the bye week as the number one seed in the NFC, then we clearly need to go through a issue that the Seahawks have and how the Seahawks can fix it. And it's a lot more difficult than I think a lot of people would realize. The passing game is not where it once was. I've got two key talking points that I want to talk about on today's show about why that passing attack has gone down and how the Seahawks can clean some of those issues up. Sam Darnold, he's got too many turnovers right now. How can we fix some of those turnover issues for Sam? Some of them are his fault. Some of them are definitely not his fault. And the other issue that we got to talk about is where are the explosives? Early on in the year, the Seahawks were completing the ball down the field at a very efficient rate. Well, that efficiency's kind of gone back some, and now you're not seeing those big play explosives, at least on the passing side of the football. Before we get into any of that, though, make sure that you hit that follow button over on X and on Instagram. I'm constantly tweeting and posting about the Seattle Seahawks on both of those sites. So you're going to get extra Seahawks news that you just won't get here on the channel. So make sure that you go over and hit that follow button. All right, so the first issue that the Seahawks have is they turn the ball over way too much right now in the passing game. And I don't want to come out here and just make this we hate Sam Darnold type of a segment, because we don't. In fact, the Seahawks would not be where they're at right now without quarterback Sam Darnold. Just look at the season that he's had. He's been very good this year. Over 4,000 yards passing. He's completing the ball at a very high completion percentage. So that means the ball's either going to our guys or they're going way out of bounds. His quarterback rating continues to climb and climb and climb. Touchdowns, man, it's not jumping off the page, but at the same time, it's not horrific. He's been a very good quarterback. But as you can see from the stats, Darnold has a clear issue. There are too many interceptions in the INT column. He had 14 interceptions going into Week 18 against the San Francisco 49ers. 14 interceptions is probably what? 7 too many? Maybe 5 too many, just depending on who you are as a person when it comes to interceptions from a quarterback, because interceptions do end up happening. But the problem isn't just with how many interceptions that Darnold has had. Look at how many fumbles that he's lost as well. So right now, Darnold equates for 20 turnovers on the offensive side of the football. That's really freaking bad. In fact, the Seahawks have one of the highest turnover rates right now in the National Football League. The Seahawks have got to find a way to help Sam Darnold not turn the ball over so freaking much. Sometimes, I will admit, freak things happen. The ball hits off of a Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet and it bounces right into the hands of a defender. That's not on Sam Darnold. Those are interceptions that I'm not going to be upset with. The 50-50 balls where a guy makes a great play, I'm not going to be upset with that. I am going to be upset about that ball that he tried to throw into the back of the end zone against Carolina when JSN was clearly not open and Michael Jackson was right in the perfect spot to get an interception. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to ask you, before I give my reasons and talk about what head coach Mike Macdonald had to say on the turnovers, how can the Seahawks fix Darnold's turnovers? What do you think is the biggest glaring weakness for Darnold right now that's causing those turnovers? Let me know down below in the comment section. I personally believe Sam has to be smarter with the football. What do I mean by that? Some of the things that make Sam Darnold so freaking good are also some of his biggest weaknesses. He is great, and I do mean great, at fitting the ball into windows that other guys just can't do it. He does a great job with his throw power and ability to throw on the run. Few can be in the correct position like him. Here's the problem, though. Sam, because of his attributes and because of how good he is at finding open receivers and fitting the ball into windows that most other quarterbacks can't, it does lead to him trusting his arm too much and then throwing the football into harm's way, which then, of course, leads to an interception. Sam Darnold has got to find a way to not allow this many turnovers to continue to pop up for him. Next, we're going to talk about how we can find those explosives. Plus, I do have a quote from head coach Mike Macdonald. It's going to be in a little bit bigger than that lower third that we have on there that we will definitely get to about how he's talking about how this offense can fix some of those turnover issues. In fact, we'll get to it right now. This is what head coach Mike Macdonald had to say on those turnover issues, basically saying that it wasn't just Sam Darnold's fault. Can we make some better decisions? Can we clean up some fundamentals? Yeah, absolutely. That goes for everybody. And I do agree with what head coach Mike Macdonald is saying there. But at the same time, it is on Sam Darnold to not make as many mistakes as he has been. Yes, everyone can be cleaner, but Sam has to be cleaner himself. Next, we'll get into those explosives. But before we do, I need to let you know about the sponsor of today's video, and that is our good friends over at Rocket Money. Now, I've told you guys a couple of times on some previous videos that I have a couple of vacations planned for this summer, and right now I need to start saving money, and thank goodness I found Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has helped me track my subscriptions, and I found out that I was actually paying double for a couple of streaming services. Rocket Money helped me cancel those extra subscriptions and save some money. No reason to be paying double on certain streaming services. I've also talked to you about how I'm trying to budget for these vacations. Rocket Money is helping me set goals right now, so that way I can limit some of the unnecessary spending that I just don't need to do. Now I'm saving a little bit extra each month as I prepare to go on those vacations, go see the family back home in Washington. I'll tell you right now, thank you so much to Rocket Money for helping me do that. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/SeahawksChat. That's rocketmoney.com/SeahawksChat. rocketmoney.com/SeahawksChat. Shout out to Rocket Money. The second issue that's going on right now in that passing game for the Seahawks is we are not finding explosive plays. I already talked about it early on in the video in a quick blurb, but remember at the beginning of the year, Sam Darnold was finding JSN at a highly efficient rate. It basically felt like every time that Sam threw the ball deep, the Seahawks were catching the football, JSN namely, and the Seahawks were ending up in the end zone. Seattle was thriving on explosive plays. Remember, back in October, November, I was doing videos on how the Seahawks had to fix the run game. Well, the passing game was the thing that was on top. So what happened to this passing game? And I don't want to completely blame JSN because he still had a very good year. Obviously, he led the National Football League in receiving yards. He broke basically every single season important record for the Seattle Seahawks, and he had over double-digit touchdowns. But the problem was for the Seahawks that they continued to just spam the 11 button. And so other teams began to realize what Seattle wanted to do. Seattle was too big play explosive reliant on Jaxon, Smith-Njigba. So teams started putting a safety over the top of him and basically eliminating that deep play threat for him. Defenses saw what was happening on film, and they knew, hey, if we throw a second safety over here, then we'll have an opportunity to force Seattle to dump the ball off over the middle. In fact, Sam has even tried to put the ball too often into harm's way, and that safety that was over the top of JSN resulted in them getting more interceptions. Basically, since the halfway point of this season, a little behind it, the Seahawks have been one of the worst teams in the National Football League when it comes to explosive play rate, which was something that they were so great at the beginning of the year. So how can the Seahawks find a way to fix that issue? We all thought that the trade for and the addition of Rashid Shaheed would lead to more big play explosives because now teams wouldn't be able to put that safety over the top of Jaxon, Smith-Njigba because they'd be leaving Rashid Shaheed all by himself one-on-one. Well, we've got a 9-game sample size of what Shaheed can do or what is doing so far with the Seahawks. Frankly, it's pretty pedestrian, and I don't know that I blame Shaheed for it. Through 9 games, he has less than 200 yards, and the average that he has isn't very good. But again, I'm not going to blame Rashid Shaheed for his lack of big play explosives because of what he's doing on the special team side of it. He already has a big play in the punt return game, returning a punt for a touchdown. He already has a big play in the kick return game, returning a kick return for a touchdown. So it's not on Shaheed for not getting the big explosive plays because he is getting them on special teams. It's a combination of play calls, quarterback decision, quarterback chemistry with Shaheed decision, and then what defenses are doing right now to the Seahawks. Now, it is important to note that this running attack is getting better, so teams might have to put more guys in the box, and that could open up some of these big plays for guys like Shaheed. In fact, I do think Seattle will be able to unlock Shaheed in the postseason, especially if this rushing attack continues to run the football the way they have been, because teams would rather double JSN and leave Shaheed one-on-one. But if they are going to do that, Sam Darnold needs to find Shaheed, and Shaheed needs to make sure that he wins those one-on-one matchups. But right now, the Seahawks have got to fix their passing attack, and this is the perfect week to do it because you're not scouting another team or another opponent. You are scouting yourself. You have a practice on Wednesday and a practice on Thursday, and then you have the rest of the weekend to rest up and get healthy. So the Seahawks need to make sure that they really maximize the time that they have because as soon as Sunday hits, the Seahawks are getting ready for whoever they are going to play, and it's the most important game of the season. Can the Seahawks fix their passing attack during the bye week? Let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. I frankly think that they will be able to, but they got to make sure that it's the main focus of the week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, always hit that sub button, but more importantly on today's video, go and follow me on social media at Will Ortner, X and Instagram. Super easy to find me. And here's the best part. What you're going to get on Twitter, what you're going to get on Instagram is extra content that we don't always put out here on the channel. So make sure that you give me that follow. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.